Motoring 2011 on TSN is brought to you by Michelin, a better way forward.
Last week we were here in Southern California checking out the new Chrysler 300, Chrysler's entry into the large luxury vehicle segment. Well, this week we are once again south of the border for something completely different, a lot different and a lot smaller. It's the official Canadian launch of the Fiat 500. Well, as we all know, the Italian car maker saved Chrysler's proverbial butt, and it's convinced this Fiat 500 will be a big success in North America. Now, it's a no-brainer in Canada because we Canadians like small cars. But you know, the key to the success of this vehicle is not how it does in Canada, but rather down here in the U.S.
My parents were both born in Italy, and so was my sister. And I have a real attachment to the Italian heritage of the Cinquecento. When I was there for the first time, 15 years ago, all of my relatives in southern Italy drove the Cinquecento, and there was so much space. Like, they would cram in, 5 or 6 people in the vehicle, no seat belts. But this is what it was like, and it was a beautiful little fun car to drive, and it certainly has a lot of Italian heritage to it, and there's really a connection, I think, with a lot of not just Italians, but people of all ages and all ethnicities.
This is a true Fiat product. So this is the original Cinquecento from 2007. What we've done is our engineering team at Chrysler has just enhanced it and made it even better to make sure that it stands up to the North American climates and the North American roads, and also made it more comfortable for North American customers. But it is a true Fiat. It is a much bigger challenge in the United States because Canadians have always been much more open. The segment there of small cars, there's a lot more city dwellers too in certain parts of the country, in Toronto and Montreal especially, that they're much more open to small cars. And there are also a lot of Italians in Canada that are already familiar with the brand, so they're just even more excited that it's coming back.
This car is really the best of European technology and Italian style, all rolled into a highly fuel-efficient and environmentally friendly package. The vehicle gets 55 miles to the gallon. Fiat is the lowest CO2 emitter of all European vehicle manufacturers. And by having this vehicle in the Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram portfolio, it really balances out our product offering, where we're truly a full-line vehicle manufacturer, from the subcompact Fiat 500 all the way through to our Ram pickup trucks.
For that type of car, the kiss of death is to be labeled, to have a stamp, like a chic car. So they're gonna have to work on that from the very, very beginning, because if they don't do that, the Fiat Cinquecento will have the same destiny than the new Beetle. Maybe something like very, very strong for the 2 or 3 first years, and then boom.
Cool. That's really far back.
We have Brad in the back seat. I'm going to attempt to get in the front. And it's not going to happen like this.
You got room.
I've got room?
Yeah.
Well, we'll slide it back, scream when we get...
Well, okay, that's about it.
I'm in. My knees are up against the dash, but I'm actually in the car, which I didn't think would happen. And still have room for Brad in the back, which we didn't think would happen.
Do you have any room back there? Are you breathing?
I'm claustrophobic, let me out!
This vehicle comes with 7 standard airbags, and it received the Euro NCAP 5-star crash rating in Europe. So it was the first vehicle to ever achieve that in this size category. So again, we've done a lot of work to ensure the safety of this vehicle.
Henry Ford once said about the Model T, you can have it in any color as long as it's black. Well, you won't have that problem if you plan to purchase a Fiat 500.
We do have black, but then we also have 13 other colors. We've got 2 tricoat colors, which are kind of the brilliant white, the brilliant red. And what we've done is really given the customer really a chance to personalize their car to their interests, both from a color and content. We've worked on both the ride for the US and Canadian roads, knowing that they're a little rougher than the European roads. And we've also now integrated an automatic transmission, a 6-speed automatic, with the new 1.4 multi-air engine.
But even the automatic transmission with the paddle shifters, you know, that's also fun to drive as well. But it certainly does have the original vintage feel of the original Cinquecento.
It looks fun and it is fun. So what you see is what you get. It's a cool car, definitely. It has attitude, and when you're driving it, it's very enjoyable to drive. You know, it's pretty stiff. The direction is very precise. It's a car that you can have as much fun as you can have with a Mini.
We pre-sold the first 500 Fiat 500s in October, and they sold out in 12 hours. And we also auctioned the very first Fiat 500 destined for Canada, and it fetched $85,000, and we donated all of those proceeds to charity. So the interest in the Canadian market has been truly phenomenal.
Well, the big thing for Fiat, the key word is going to be reliability. If this car is not reliable, then Fiat, it ain't going to work for them in North America. In the United States, I think they have a higher hill to climb than in Canada. But in the United States, they cannot make one single mistake.
Stop the insanity. More later on Kenzie's Corner.
At one time, Subaru was famous for its quirky engineering. Today, it's famous for this car. On this edition of Test Drive, the WRX. Long admired for its all-wheel drive ability, Subaru's quirky nature turned off many potential customers. It was, for want of a better description, a Japanese Saab. Now there's nothing wrong with that, except it put a crimp in Subaru's true potential. The latest Impreza WRX is a fine example of what happens when sound engineering collides with attractive packaging. The thing that makes this car so quick is its turbocharger. However, a turbocharger without an intercooler is like a dog without a bone. In this case, the air rushes in through the hood scoop and it's directed down through an air-to-air intercooler. Now that intercooler cools the incoming air charge, which allows the turbo to blow a little harder. More air, more fuel, bigger bang, faster car. It's that simple. All of that work really put some serious fire in the WRX's belly. The combination of the turbocharger and intercooler delivers 265 stallions and 244 pound-feet of torque at a user-friendly 4,000 RPM. Needless to say, the WRX is deceptively quick. It runs from rest to 100 kilometers an hour in 5.4 seconds and completes the 80 to 120 move in 4.3 seconds. Both times are very fast and underscore the WRX's rally-bred heritage. Inside the WRX, it's all about the driver and front passenger. Great seats that really do keep you planted when you play. You'll also find all the mod cons. Bluetooth streaming audio, and MP3 plug-in. This time around, slightly nicer dials in the instrumentation and a darker overall finish, which adds a little more class. The other thing, the ergonomics are first rate. There is, however, one thing missing. This thing has a turbo under the hood, but there's no boost gauge in here. There should be. The test car's grunt was relayed to the road through a 5-speed manual transmission. As manuals go, it's a pretty good one. The gate is well defined, the throws are short, and the clutch bite's in the right place. If there is a wish, it would be for a 6th gear. From the transmission, the power is fed to all 4 wheels via a viscous coupling. It's a part of Subaru's terrific symmetrical all-wheel drive system. As everything is laid out along the longitudinal centerline of the car, the whole lot is balanced, and so there are no vices whatsoever. Notably, there is absolutely no torque steer, regardless of how hard you stand on the gas pedal. The back end of this WRX has been well thought through. Plenty of headroom, decent legroom, and 60-40 split folding rear seats. Now these things do fold fairly flat with the floor. Now, if you move to the back of the sedan, you get 320 litres of cargo space with the seats in the upright position. If you decide to go with the hatchback, you obviously get more versatility, but you also get a little more trunk space. 538 litres with the seats up and 1257 with them folded flat. The WRX's other forte is found in its handling characteristics. The stiff chassis, sporty suspension and 225/45 R17 tyres tame body roll and limit understeer. The unspoken bonus is that the symmetrical layout of the powertrain brings much better overall balance. As a package, the WRX trashed the pylon test. If the driver does manage to venture beyond the WRX's considerable limits, there is of course an electronic nanny waiting to right the driver's wrong. The final part of the dynamic equation is the anti-lock brake system. With stopping distances that measure just 39 metres from 100k, the stopping power is exceptional, and it remains fade-free after several full-on stops. So there you have it. The WRX is a very nice car. Great handling, very good all-wheel drive, nice interior and plenty of power. For most people, this car will be enough. However, if enough is never quite enough, there's always the STI. Regardless, these cars represent one of the best bangs for your hard-earned buck you'll find.
Time to update our 2011 Kia Forte 5-door hatch. Unlike our friends to the south, Canadians love hatchbacks, and that's why this car is so important for Kia. I mean, this segment without a doubt represents the biggest slice of the Canadian sales pie, with players like Civic, Mazda 3 and Corolla. But now Kia is in a good position to take a bigger bite. Kia had a record year in 2010, selling more than 2 million cars globally for the first time in its history. Two powertrains are offered, a 2-liter inline 4-cylinder that produces 156 horses and a 2.4-liter engine that powers our test car. This one produces 173 horses. This front-wheel drive Forte comes with a standard manual 6-speed transmission. Our tester is equipped with a 6-speed automatic, but the onus is on the 6-speed. With so much emphasis today on getting good fuel economy, many manufacturers are going to the 6-speed transmission. The reason? When you're on the highway and that transmission drops into the 6th gear, not only do your revolutions drop, but so does your fuel consumption.
You know, there's a lot of valuable information on your driver's license, and at least one Canadian national gas retailer wants that information. I wouldn't give it to them though. For the full story, check out me, the Menzoid, at motoringtv.com.
Chrysler is predicting that the new Fiat 500 will bring it some conquest sales, and not all from other manufacturers, but also from the Chrysler family like Jeep and Dodge. Although I think it's a bit of a stretch to think you're going to get someone out of a Dodge Ram or any other pickup into a small car like this, and I know one guy who will agree with me, and that's Bill Gardner.
Well, it'll take some pretty expensive gasoline before that happens, Brad. I think the lineup's going to be pretty short too. What we want to talk about this week is problems that can befall the wiper system of your car, especially if it's a car that's 6, 7 model years old or older, or maybe high kilometers. These are the kinds of things that can go wrong, or in some cases if you just haven't been clearing the snow off your windshield properly. Now, recently we've had quite a few cars through the shop where the phone call from the customer is, I think I need a new wiper motor. They're complaining that the wipers are really going slow across the windshield. They've slowed down to a crawl, and then maybe they've stopped on the windshield, and the client thinks that the wiper motor has eventually given up the ghost. In most cases, when we get complaints like this, it's not the wiper motor. Now, the wiper motor on almost all cars is protected by a circuit breaker, reason being that if you don't clear the snow and ice jam on the windshield of your car, you can't have a fuse that would pop blow out, and then you have no wipers at all, even if you'd cleared the ice jam. So that wiper motor is protected by a circuit breaker. So, you know, if you don't clear the ice off, when you eventually do, all of a sudden it springs to life and it works normally. Now, down here at the base of the windshield, in this area we refer to as the wiper cowl area, we've usually got a linkage, something like this, that converts the rotary motion of the wiper motor into the back and forth motion of the wipers. Now, this particular linkage came off a Toyota Camry. Reason it was changed was this pivot right here is seized. The shaft going through this aluminum bracket has locked up with corrosion. Now, this side of it, on the driver's side, was nice and free the way it should be. This one was seized. Now, this linkage was about $360 from the Toyota dealer, or a used one or an aftermarket one you can get for $100, $150. But when this fails, you've got big problems with your wipers. It stalls out the wiper motor. Now, this component came off an Audi A6, same idea. This pivot here is seized. This one works normally. Wiper motor mounts here in the center with a series of rods that connect it, once again converting the rotary motion of the motor into the back and forth motion of the wipers. These parts came off an Infiniti car. You can see how corroded that one is, and it's locked up. This one with a little bit less corrosion would still move. Depending on the make, model, and year of the car, the price of these components can vary quite wildly. The ones for the Infiniti were like $52 each. This part was about $300. This part here for the Camry, about $360. So it depends on the car you're talking about. But in any case, once this part is replaced, even that wiper motor that was completely stalled out will work normally again 9 times out of 10. Now, some of the other things that can go wrong with your wiper system is problems with the wiper arm, broken spring, or this pivot seized up or broken, or things like, you know, blades that are torn and need to be replaced. But one good tip, and we've used this many times before in the show, is if your car has the ability to pull the wiper arm up off the windshield just before a storm, that'll make it much easier to clear the snow and ice jam off the windshield before you start the wipers up. They won't get frozen to the windshield. It'll make life a lot easier. But sooner or later, if you go through enough Canadian winters, eventually you're going to have these kinds of problems with your car. Something you got to get fixed right away, because vision is so important to safe driving. It's like 96% of our driving decisions based on vision. So don't drive that car if you can't see properly. Till next week, I'm Bill Gardner for Motoring 2011.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2012 Civic Coupe and Sedan concepts. Now, these concept versions of the 9th generation Honda Civic build on the current models with more expressive body lines. This complete redesign offers a bolder, more energetic and sleek appearance, yet our focus continues to be on timeless and enduring design, where form really does follow function. You know, this philosophy is why Civic has always been well accepted by our customers. The new Civic will be more compact outside, but with best-in-class cabin space, a more sporty and fun-to-drive spirit, and more fuel efficient at every level. Now, we're only showing the exterior styling here today, but we promise that the new Civic lineup will offer the features, functionality, and style that will enable every customer to better personalize and customize a Civic to match their own lifestyle.
What do the cities of Nelson, British Columbia, Winnipeg, Manitoba, and Charlottetown, PEI have in common? Well, they're all considering cutting out a lot of stop signs at intersections. Well, what, have they not been watching Motoring for 20 years? Stop signs basically are a pretty stupid way to control an intersection. There's a bunch of reasons for this. Yeah, you don't want to be running through an intersection without looking where you're going, but the stop sign says, stop. And most people think, well, once I stop, I've discharged my obligation. I stop, I carry on through, and get T-boned by a guy running through the other way. It takes away the process of actually thinking about what you're doing. Now, yield signs, as they have almost everywhere in England, make a lot more sense. If nobody's coming, you don't have to come to a complete stop. You look around, nobody's there, you roll on through. It saves you time, it saves you money, it saves pollution, because nothing is more polluting than a car idling sitting at a stop sign. Now, some cities in Europe have actually done away with all signs. They have no lane markings, no speed limits, no stoplights, no stop signs, nothing. This forces everybody, pedestrians and motorists alike, to really pay attention to what's going on. Guess what? The crash rate plummets. It actually works. Now, most stop signs, they're put up there for political reasons. Residents complain, oh, they're going too fast down my street. You want to slow people down? Forget about speed bumps. They're just a challenge to a good suspension. Dig a 1 foot wide, 1 foot deep trench across the road every block? Nobody's going through that at more than 10 kilometers an hour. But of course, that's not going to happen. But if you do want to really control intersections safely, properly, efficiently, and pollution-free, well, again, if you've been watching this show for 24 years, roundabouts. You've heard the news, get on with it. I'm Jim Kinsey.
Chrysler likes to describe the Fiat 500 as a double espresso on 4 wheels. Well, at 101 horsepower, I don't think so, although a more powerful Fiat will be coming sometime in 2012. As for the car, well, it's cute. It will do well in Canada. Here in the U.S., well, gas prices are rising, and while consumers like to complain about it, high fuel prices do translate into some consumers looking to smaller, more fuel-efficient vehicles, which is everything the 500 is, and a little funky. Now, we only got to drive the 5-speed manual, really enjoyed it. However, at highway speeds, I think it could use an extra gear. If you're going to do that kind of driving, you may want to opt for the 6-speed automatic. And oh, by the way, Chrysler and Fiat, thank you very much for not putting a fake flower on the dash. Talk about the kiss of death. Before we go, make sure you check out motoringtv.com. We've got the complete list of our top vehicles for 2010. We got the good old blog dogs, and also join Facebook for the total motoring experience. That's it for now. We'll see you next time out as we continue to bring you more stories about cars and the people who drive them.
The launch control, it was like every carnival ride all rolled into one at one time. The exhilaration, the feeling, it was so cool.
Motoring 2011 on TSN has been brought to you by Michelin, a better way forward.